me bringing you guys a very late night review of Eden Zero Chapter 200. And, okay, just completely skipping the preamble, guys, we gotta talk about that ending. We learned the future we saw from the beginning of the series was actually a moment outside of time. So, if I'm understanding correctly, if I'm understanding everything correctly, taking in all the information we know now, especially including everything that was revealed in this chapter, we have to assume the male life form that was found is Shiki. So that has to mean this future that we're seeing is one such alternate timeline where Ziggy succeeded in not only destroying humanity and the universe, but also a future where Mother was killed. And in doing so, this future we see was one that was ripped away from the stream of time because of Ziggy's actions. So, just in knowing all this, then, that means that as of right now, Ziggy himself has trapped... So just knowing this all in itself, like, that has to mean that Mother herself, as an entity, is basically the thing that allows a universe or timeline to exist. If Mother dies in any sort of a time, there are mothers in each timeline, from what I understand, and if a mother dies, then that means that the timeline gets completely torn. Then that means the specific timeline gets torn from its place in the time stream, and if that is in fact the case, just knowing all this, then that means that as of right now, Ziggy himself has trapped like Shiki and the others at the crossroads. Because if Rebecca summons the chronophage now, then assuming that what we've learned about how the power of a mother's ether is what allows Mother herself to exist, then the whole planet being swallowed by the chronophage would be the same as killing Mother. And even if Rebecca didn't do that, which I doubt she would, especially knowing now that Nox is her mother, Ziggy himself has the means to find her and to do it himself by tracing the ether of all these mothers back to Mother herself. Like, the only possible way I can think to avoid this whole double jeopardy scenario is for Shiki to take in as much information as he can from this future in order to keep it from happening to this current timeline, and even more so, he has to stop Ziggy here and now. If he doesn't, then the future's fucked one way or another. But even then, by that point, there's a possibility that Shiki might do it himself, at least if he's given a reason to. Like, I think the thing with Shiki right now is it's been kind of foreshadowed that he may very well be like the person who ends up killing Mother, and if that's the case, then it would have to happen in a situation where he's got nothing left to lose, because this is where things get tricky. And keep in mind, everything I'm about to say is all based on a theory I saw in the comments section of the site where I read the chapter, but it's been theorized for a while now that the Ziggy we know in the present is actually a future version of Shiki who was corrupted by Satan gravity. But this theory says that the Shiki from 20,000 years into the future was sent into the past and our current timeline by means of someone using up all their power to prevent the same thing from being repeated. And whether or not that would be like a future version of Zhao Mei, or a descendant, or even an ancestor of Rebecca, it's someone who, and it's more than likely that the future Shiki somehow ended up in our timeline. And in theory, this might actually explain the amnesia one possibility I can glean from this is the kind grandfatherly Ziggy we saw in the beginning of the series could have been the future version of Shiki who ended up like in whose mind ended up in the body of Ziggy and was just blocking Ziggy from knowing the events of the future. But when he died the first time, that's when all of Ziggy's memories returned to him, and even learned about this future. But that's from one theory, I think. But my personal theory of the case is that when Shiki was sent back to our present timeline by whatever means, I think by nature of this future Shiki being a child of this distorted timeline, I think it might have affected Ziggy in a way where his original purpose was overridden by pretty much Shiki himself, and he became the more kind Shiki, the more kind Ziggy we had seen in the beginning of the series. That's again the whole thing is so alternate future, alternate timeline kind of thing that it's really hard to know as to what happened with as to how this future Shiki aligns with the Shiki we know now. And I don't know if any of these are the exact details. In fact, it could be a combination of the two. But the whole premise in itself is basically following the similar idea Mashima had used in Fairy Tail with ancestors and descendants. And in this particular case, it might very well be a thing where Shiki is his own descendant, his own family. I don't know. Like this is gonna be one thing that's definitely gonna start discussions for sure. Now, the one thing I am sure about though is that this chapter pretty much all but confirms that Shiki does in fact share some kind of a direct connection with Mother. Now, whether or not it's that Mother is Shiki's actual mother, or it's through Shiki's own mother, whoever she may be, that this connection between Shiki and Mother is made possible, and if Shiki's mother does in fact exist, then she's probably with Mother herself right now. As it stands, I feel all the answers to the numerous amounts of questions raised by this chapter all lie with Mother herself, and whatever this connection is, I think it is very much the reason Ziggy sees Shiki as a threat. In fact, even though I went on a bit of a tirade about Ziggy being the one who possibly destroyed humanity 20,000 years into the future, I think it was Shiki who was ultimately the one who killed Mother. And when that Shiki was sent back to the time stream, the main purpose he was sent back was not only to stop Ziggy, but also whatever led to the possible outcome of Shiki destroying Mother and preventing bad outcome as well. Also, despite I think a lot of these answers lying with Mother herself, I also very much believe that Saint Fire Nox herself, being Lucy's mother, and just the whole Saint Fire religion in itself, is going to be the glue that pretty much ties all these pieces together. Because the more obvious question that raises a couple eyebrows is, if Shiki was still alive 20,000 years in the future, then what even is he if he could survive that long? But even then, I think something tied to the Saint Fire religion and Saint Fire Nox herself is pretty much how a lot of the current events of what's happened were even allowed to happen to begin with. I think something happened in that timeline that where Saint Fire Nox or someone, or just Rebecca's family ties in itself had sent Shiki back to our present timeline, I think. And yeah, I said it before and I'll say it again, seeing all these mothers in containment pods is disturbing enough on its own, but learning that, aside from Saint Fire Nox, still very much alive, they really are all dead. It just adds so much more to the twisted nature of what Ziggy's even doing right now. Mashima really wants to make us feel disturbed and uncomfortable with this whole situation, and honestly, he's kind of succeeding a little too well, because I'm not kidding when I say there were a couple times reading this chapter where I thought I was going to vomit just from how Ziggy described the lab, what the lab was meant for. Ziggy is literally sucking the ether out of corpses. Just saying out loud, it actually kind of makes my stomach churn a little bit, but it's God fucking damn it, this I I really don't know what to say about that. What do you want me to say about that shit? Like, it's just so fucking disturbing. And yeah, guys, I really want to get a discussion going here, because I honestly I really don't even know if half of what I'm saying is even true or not. Like, all I can do is like speculate at this point until until the next chapter, until the coming chapters where we get a bit more of an explanation of this shit. But it's like, just, yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comment section, because I really want to know what you think. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to subscribe bell, subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of me, signing off. Later, everyone.